Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Game 2 of this Best of 3 showdown here in Dota Pit, Season 5 action. I'm LD. I'm joined here by CCNC, and man, we just got done witnessing EG dismantle them in Game number 1. Coming into Game number 2, EG will be on the Radiant side, and they will have the first pick. As far as bans go, I am curious to see if NP changes anything up. But CCNC, you said stronger lanes is the big thing you want to see out of NP. So any particular heroes that come to mind when you talk about stronger lanes for them?
I'm not sure. Maybe helping out EE more in the lane, picking a strong dual lane for the safe lane. But EG going for this Wisp again, so that sort of gets hard because it ends up just becoming a dual lane mid. Are they gonna go for the same opener? Are they gonna? Wow, Drow?
I mean, this is NP basically saying, it wasn't the strategy, it was our execution that's the problem, or at least the core of the strategy, is they've already picked two of those cores. I mean, any reason not to just go into that exact same type of draft?
Man, that's some serious like dominance asserting stuff. If they pick Drow and smash them again with it.
They're like, we're going to mark our territory with this Sven Invoker opening, and there's nothing you can do about it, EG. But I'm not sure, man. All right, EG, they're not going to go for the Drow. They'll get the Axe instead. But given how dominant Universe was last game, I can't say I would argue with that, and it is still essentially looking like a very similar draft thus far.
Yeah, I think picking up the axe early on was really good instead of getting the drow there. That was a crucial part of how they dismantled NP, and it lets you win your safe lane because NP is a team that does, like we saw last game, like do a lot of aggro tri lane. So if you can pick a hero like an axe or a bat rider, a hero that typically dominates 1v1s in the safe lane of whichever team, it just gives you an innate advantage because they farm up faster, they get their blink, quicker. Hero like an axe, a bat rider, offlaners being typically the initiators, and also very good versus Sven Invoker, like we talked about last game. So NP probably would have banned it, so valuing that hero over the Drow, and NP banning up the Drow, so they had to pick one to get, and they chose the Axe.
Drow does get immediately removed, so NP will not allow EG to have the same lineup. And with the Drow ban, it may significantly affect the other core as well. I think a bit less likely we see that Storm, for example, but not to say they would never consider it, just not quite as potent. And now the Ogre removed by EG, so Bloodlust with Sven, strong laning support that can really pressure that IO. What if EG don't go for the Storm here? Like, what kind of lineup do you expect out of them?
I mean, from these first two heroes, it just looks like sort of like last game, looking to make sure they're able to fight NP whenever they get equipped for the items, fighting them before they get to their key timing. So, getting fast heroes so far. So maybe looking for a Slark or something like that for Arteezy in the safe lane. Although Slark not the greatest for Sven, um, pretty good versus Invoker, but Storm, like you said, not amazing. Without the Drow Ranger versus heroes like this, it's good with the Drow because you can afford to go treads. You can go and then to the Bloodstone afterwards instead of what's becoming more popular nowadays, the Arcanes and Soul Ring. So being able to commit for the treads early, so you can dish out all the damage from the Drow aura, lets you play Storm sort of in the way he was used to be played, as a very aggressive early fighter instead of more of a farming hero. So I think that's the way Sumail prefers to play it. So I don't know if they'll go for it in this game.
Pick number 3 now. NP did opt to ban that Mirana, as mentioned, and they will take the Warlock, so that's another either, ban or, in this case, a denial pick away from EG. So they are significantly forcing them to change up the draft. EG, though, definitely in the comfortable position here. And curious to see what they do. I mean, really, like, it's half of their draft has now been removed in some form or fashion, so it will definitely be something fresh.
Yeah, it's interesting to see these two teams draft against each other because PPD has said in the past that there's a correct way to draft, and EE learned how to draft. He's studied PPD, I know, and has sort of formed how he drafts around the way PPD has. So sort of very similar drafting styles as Crit and the rest of the EG squad, probably having very heavy draft influences from PPD as he is, sort of their coach now. So it's kind of interesting to see how they draft against each other.
Yeah, EG really eating the reserve time, so Anything that they've run recently? I mean, we've seen them in elimination mode. Obviously, I don't really think the drafts there tell you all that much because of how many heroes are removed. All right, Omni's picked up immediately. My head goes to OD. Uh, whatever carry they get is going to be Superman now between the tether, the overcharge, potentially a repel. And NP have already picked 2 of their cores. They don't really have a great diffusal blade carrier.
Yeah, so far definitely a very, very good Omni game. If the Omni is in the right position, super good versus, exactly almost a very, very similar lineup that they had before with those same 2 core picks. So those heroes really favoring fast fights, and if the Omni Knight is in position, can slow those fights down quite a bit. Healing the person that the Sven jumps on, turning the damage back around, and then giving the repel so they can just sort of walk away is a very nice counter to this to the quick fight playstyle that MP is going for in game 2 as well.
All right, NP, pick number 4. Big team fight. Lots of AoE, the order of the day. But EG looking more and more like a run at you in the mid game type of lineup. With, I think, something very important you point out at the end of the last draft and why they seem to favor the axe and against NP is low cooldowns. And so far, all of these heroes, Quinn, really do have extremely low cooldowns. So I wonder if NP's at all worried about that right now. With the Warlock pick in a vacuum, he still brings the Fatal Bonds. It's not like the end of the world, but if they go too much more into team fight or big AoE spells, could come back to haunt them a little bit.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I'm curious to see what Sumel's pick is, because I don't think he'll be going for the Storm this game. Probably does, like we talked about earlier, want a more fast hero, and I also think they want to pick Sumel a hero that has a favorable matchup, or at least a good matchup versus the Invoker. As Sumel, as he showed in the last matchup, still has that just the amazing individual skill, known for being one of the best laners in the world. So we'll see if they give him an advantageous matchup going into this game.
All right, Slardar. So NP, very minor deviations in the draft. They are very convinced that this lineup will work well against EG. So I guess ideally you somehow avoid that Slardar vs. X matchup, or MSS just plays it a little more carefully. We'll have to see. I mean,
Yeah,
I honestly, I thought he was going to get a kill there, but Envy did not like that first crush. I thought there was going to be an immediate Sunstrike, and I don't know if Envy wasn't on the same page with him or he just felt like it wouldn't get the kill. So maybe they kind of chalk it up to miscommunication. And then MSS went back in, and he died, and then the Sunstrike finally showed up. But there's the OD Omni, so straight out of NA pubs and hot off the presses. But certainly nothing new for these players. They've seen this quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. It was super prevalent back in the patch where OD was unbelievably broken, and then everybody's starting to realize that, hey, this Astral Imprisonment spell is pretty good. It's Disruption on a core. I know, it's balanced, and coming back into popularity, and still very, very good with the Omni Knight. It's a hero that not very good at just sort of walking into the team, has, obviously being an int hero, his agi doesn't scale very well, hates buying armor items until 5th or 6th item whenever you get the Shivas, so with the Omni Knight on his side, able to let him commit to the fights a lot easier and get off those arcane orb stacks here, that whenever he is enabled to fight, and they definitely have the supports to do that with the Wisp and the Omni Knight, OD can be just super hard to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I do like amp damage versus the Omni, as you just kind of hit that hero anyway, even through the repel potentially, but at the same time, I don't know if that's enough to get the kill, and you can't really hold him in place. And they don't really have any BKB piercing disable for now, or magic immune piercing disable, I should specify. As EG round out the draft with an Alchemist. Interesting because it's normally when we see the Alch picks, like there's a lot of good Aghanim Scepters. There's like some okay ones this game, but nothing you're like, oh god, we gotta rush this right away. This just feels like they just think Alch matches up well in general against NP's draft, and with the Sven, it's likely, and Invoker, it's likely to be very heavy on farm. So, do you see EG as like just trying to match them in the farm department, or take it late, or why Alch here?
I think Alch is pretty good here because it does have a nice timing where, like you said, NP's cores take a little bit to come online, so Alch likes to farm during that same period. But if he is able to, if they do let him get that Radiance up, then he has a really nice timing versus their versus NP's timings where, you know, they starting to get the Echo Saber working towards the Blink, Invoker's still farming up, but the Alchemist just turbo farms and does what they do better. And NP realizing that, hey, we can't really take the farming game versus them, so picking the Enchantress and really going to try and stick it to him in this early laning stage. Omni Knight, not typically known for being an amazing laner. And if this is a safe lane OD, which it looks like it is, it's a very punishable hero, so NP gonna try and beat that mid game timing where they have the Radiance, you know, just out farm them and then, you know, just crush you with this massive team fight pickoffs with the axe and the Omni Knight heals.
10 seconds
With
remaining.
this Ench probably gonna put a lot of pressure on this OD in the safe lane.
5
Yeah,
seconds
so
remaining.
an aggressive pick to balance things out, and maybe it solves the laning problem. Even Warlock is, I mean, he's not really the best at like ganking per se, but it's a very difficult to kill support. Oh Jesus.
I only play Sven.
Oh, nice and early with the tears. So both teams just calmly preparing to throw their allies under the bus. Oh.
I love the banter between Arteezy and Ali. It's always a classic.
Oh, God, what did he say in the first? He said something in the first lobby to him. I'm trying to remember what it. Did you see that?
Yeah, it was something about dying to ancients or whatever, because Arteezy did it originally like a year ago or something. And whenever everybody was mocking Owie for dying to the ancients in the game in the Boston Major qualifiers, I was talking to him afterwards. He was like, "Arteezy did it first," and he pasted the YouTube replay into the
I like how he had
lobby.
the replay ready.
Yeah, he pasted the YouTube video, and Arteezy was like, "It's on Lux."
Oh, the excuses never end, but the feeding fortunately also will continue. Somebody's gonna have to give up that clowny kill. If it's not this game, you know it's coming at some point. So both teams, they went for the early smoke rotations. They got down their deep wards. We do see one here for the side of NP. Similarly, one off in the dire jungle. So obviously, if you're EG, you're up against a Sven who wants to be farming stacks, an Enchantress who looks to apply pressure on the map, and they've got one ward to guard against their own jungle being invaded, one ward to keep tabs on what she's up to in the dire woods. And I guess this probably means the Sven is going to have an easier time of it. We're not seeing any wards blocking the Ancients for now, and that is, in and of itself, is one of the advantages of this Enchantress pick.
Yeah, it looks like Universe either okay, so he's hitting up the top, so it looks like the Universe is gonna lane versus this versus dual lane of NP, the Sven Warlock. So not an amazing lane, definitely not great at zoning and Axe, as they are realizing that this Enchantress is probably gonna play around mid, play around this bottom lane, and try and pressure these two lanes. So Universe can have a little bit of an opening maybe in trying to punish the not so strong lane up top.
So speaking of Ench, does creep her way down mid. Bounty runes both grab, or sorry, no, one by Envy, one by Sumail. So one for each team. And Sumail already with the completed poor man shield, just looking for that courier snipe. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Oh, got him. So
has been killed.
an early pick there for SVG. It's almost, I feel like it's almost easier to get those courier snipes when you're not like a bounty hunter or a Riki nowadays. Teams just seem to forget once in a while, and a quick punish there from him. But speaking of punishes, Crit already going to work, has the early degen aura, and keeps on whacking him with that mighty hammer. But SVG will just limp away, has the win lace, so should be absolutely fine in the end.
Yeah, this Eng pressuring the Axe a lot, forcing the Omni Knight to play around, so Universe getting very little XP from that camp, and it was a Centaur camp as well, I believe, so not an easy camp to clear, and Universe not going to have near as fast a start as possible. Still only level 1 at, you know, a minute and a half roughly, just getting level 2 from that Satyr camp, so...
Yeah, and
SVG,
you know, you said he was going to... Like, last game he got the Iron Talon, then he went to the lane. Now this game, he starts with the extra regen and the stat shield, and he goes to the jungle, so... Kind of interesting how it's worked out. Now, to be fair, Universe maybe didn't have the ideal items for lane last time, and he still dominated, so wouldn't be surprised if he goes off this time around. But as I say that, maybe the slight jinx is in. They're not going to let him have these neutrals for free, MSS. Talk about being hounded, whether it's the Enchantress Leech, his experience, the Centaur, now stunning Zai, or Slardar coming in. They are putting a lot more pressure on Universe, Quinn.
Yeah, I think this build from Universe actually is pretty good. Realizing that the Enchantress is going to be playing around in this jungle, playing behind this mid tower, and trying to just mess with the Alchemist jungle, mess with the Axe. So not going for the very regen light build of the Iron Town, actually going for more of your stereotypical laning build, but still going to the jungle. Not something you typically think of. I didn't even realize it at first, but I think that was planned, knowing that the Ench would mess with him, and so having the extra regen, not going to jungle quite as fast, but also not going to be able to be zoned out of the lane like Axe typically would versus an Enchantress.
Okay, so you think basically he actually anticipated this from the get-go?
Yeah, I think he actually did that on purpose.
Gotcha.
Because he sort of postured himself that way. Like, it looked like he maybe wanted to go top. He was sort of walking back and forth between them, but I think this was intentional.
Well, NP very intent on this top tower, as they will move in with the creeps. Have the ever brilliant Hadouken, so they'll bring down the wave with ease. Combine that with the cleave, and now we already cutting the wave. They're gonna find Universe. He TP'd in, but there's a lot of units surrounding him. He's gonna start to spin here with the call. Goes in onto SVG, who's been tanking tower. Does not have a point in the attendance yet. Might even go down. Universe is like, I gotta get something out of this, but the first blood to Owie.
He spun. What?
Oh, that was close. Ench almost down to that, but does end up getting the first blood in time. I don't think got to spend her gold. No, she did die before buying anything. Universe did buy his Iron Talon, though, so not too bad in the end. As MSS bottom lane is going to sprint himself away after Zai got banished for safekeeping. And they already take the tower at 3.5 minutes. Last time around, it was EG either taking towers or applying this much pressure at that point, but not the case here.
Yeah, I really like them focusing a lot on making sure Owie gets a good start. They almost always focus quite heavily on whatever lane Owie's in, whether it's an aggressive tri lane and doing well on that, or just giving him the safe farm. And last game, EG playing that tri lane just absolutely perfectly, so not giving up any room versus the super aggressive tri lane. And so this game, changing it up a little bit, giving Owie the safe lane and giving him that free farm. So already has the HOD up, changing things up a little bit, but Owie a player that thrives playing from ahead.
They're going to move on to Sumail in the mid lane, but I think this was scouted when they walked up the ramp. As I say that, the cold snap, it's been a while since they moved up that ramp. He's going to commit the ultimate here to try and survive. The crush comes through, it connects on two, prevents Universe from giving the backup. A good backstab by MSS. Now that said, that is a pretty heavy commitment, and they really needed the kill. They will slow the Alchemist down, I should say. But it is forfeiting a completely empty lane to Artesian. Perhaps more importantly, it means the Slardar is having a fairly rough time of it for MSS.
Yeah, there wasn't really much he could be doing with that time, so it was nice that he sort of ran through the jungle. They did have this ward here, so maybe he went down a little lower under the small camp and going around that way, or somehow not spotted, or maybe they did see him and just didn't think he had kill potential.
I thought they were expecting it because Crit was just like hugging the tower for a while, but then they ended up backing off. So not sure if EG saw it and then we're like, they're probably not going for it, or if they just never had vision in the first place.
Yeah, Sumail only one creep away from his ultimate whenever they had started, so got his ultimate at about half HP. If he had that creep had died just a second earlier, would have had the regen going a little bit earlier and would have been able to take a couple of steps, pop the salve, and have that tick for a couple of seconds and probably live there. So just seconds away from being a little bit too late, so really nice time for NP getting that kill. Once again, punishing Sumail before he gets his level 6 and becomes basically invulnerable, hitting those very small timing windows that matter a lot in a game like this.
Envy with the pause and the ping. He's closing in on his Midas here, so definitely wants to make sure he gets there without an unnecessary death. But yeah, this is a much better laning stage, Quinn. My god, they're up 2,500 gold. Granted, they did already take a tier 1, but that's still a big lead. As well as nearly 1,000 experience. So everything going according to plan here early on for NP. If you're AG, were you expecting this? Oh, they also had the courier snipe, obviously. Like, were you expecting to lose the lanes, or is this kind of coming as a surprise to them? And I guess more importantly, how do they adapt heading into the mid game?
I don't know if they were expecting to lose the lanes, but they were definitely expecting NP to have a really good time. I think whenever you pick an Enchantress or the other team picks an Enchantress, that you can sort of, you could tell the NP with that last pick sort of surprising EG maybe a little bit, but whenever you see that, you just sort of have to realize, all right, they're almost all in on this early game in a sense that this Enchantress hero, if she doesn't have a good start, falls off very quickly. So EG not giving up too many kills. That kill on Sumail pretty costly. It's going to slow down his armlet a fair amount and make him maybe more killable in the future. Not too big of a deal as MSS is pretty far away from the amplified damage, so if you can get to that amp damage force, Alchemist has the armlet. It's a pretty huge deal as you have a lot of kill potential on him, but it looks like EG will beat that timing, but they're not giving up too many kills. The Ench only level 3, so not very close to the impetus yet, and now he's starting to farm up, but yeah, overall, I think EG is okay with this. The X, I think the biggest scare for EG right now is the X. Only 100 gold, so really far away from his Blink Dagger at this point. So NP will have a pretty spacious window where EG is trying to farm up some core items to allow them to fight.
And that really is their only initiation, aside from, you know, repelling the Alk or the OD and they just run in. There will be a call mid, though, so speaking of comeback potential and getting a Blink Dagger in a timely fashion, Universe a little bit closer to it, now up to 300 gold.
Sumel's actually...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sumel's actually going to go for the either the Solar Crest build or like the S and Y into maybe like Blink Dagger, because he did get the treads, and going 203. Whatever his next skill point is may define what build he's going to. Does he go 30? What does he do? Because okay, so it goes 204. He may get the stun next level, because normally whenever you go the treads, he'll be going for more of a fighting build. So maybe realizing, hey, I can't get the Radiance immediately this game, or something like that. But getting the treads this early on, not typically super common. And I know Sumel has been trying the no Radiance build on Alchemist in pubs lately, so maybe thinking it's appropriate here, as NP are gonna be putting the pressure on pretty heavily in the near future.
Yeah, does grab the Iron Talon, so we'll have to see which direction he goes. For now, not committing towards a bigger item, but there's a crit moving in. He does drop a ward. He's pretty far out, though. He doesn't have a point of repel yet. Sunstrike comes in. Bop! Got him. And now we're going to look for Zai as well with the tether already committed. Well, MSS, you said not the fastest level 6, but suddenly he's been given 1 kill, gifted a second. Envy on a double kill and killing spree streak here. So tons of gold for the Invoker. A fast amp damage now all of a sudden on the horizon. And Alk nowhere near a potential armlet, so they are going to have a big window where they can look to punish him. Speaking of punish, it's straight back to the top lane. It's right on to crit again. The Omni Knight picked off once more as quickly as he comes back into the game. He's down for the count. EG hemorrhaging kills. It's only 8 minutes in. That was the first rock of the game, and I'm checking out support levels here. You've got a level 6 Warlock walking around. Meanwhile, Io's 4 and Omni is 3. And Sumail is about to be dead again. God Strength committed. Creeps are there. He can't even bring down Envy. This game is crumbling, but not for the guy who popularized the phrase. It's crumbling for EG.
Yeah, they're you can sort of see this game and a little bit of last game. EG likes to play these very constructed games where, the early game is sort of calmer. They get some of their core items up, and then they play the game very methodically, logically, realizing what the other team's timings are and playing around those. But NP just playing super aggressive this game, getting the Enchantress, and maybe realizing some of EG's weaknesses and how aggressive they like to get early, or how they're typically reasonably passive early on. So punishing that pretty heavily. And now he did use the God Strength for that last fight over there, so not able to farm the Ancients right now. We'll see if he dies to them again. I doubt it, but
did you say dies to them?
Changing up their style a little bit.
Oh, dies to AG, you mean?
Dies to the Ancients.
Oh. I think he's going to be okay with the Warlock here. For now, should be in alright shape. As Crit moves into the Roshan pit, wants to hang out near the Ancients. They did see that this is happening, but there's a smoke bypassing the Omni and moving deeper into the bottom lane. EG don't appear to be remotely ready for this. Alk is not really a great rotator in these scenarios. They have the amp damage. It's going to be a quick pick-off on Zai, most likely. Tether's out for now, but a Sunstrike cuts him up and spits him out. EE on point. Well, he didn't used to be known for his Invoker, but I think what he's showing is that if you give him enough time in practice, he can learn pretty much anything.
Yeah, his versatility in pubs is like 0.01 right now, I think. So just continuing to spam Invoker has been doing it for weeks now. So
yeah, if you go by the versatility score, not so much, but I guess if you look at it historically, then this is something a bit newer for him. Yeah, they're going to look for that tower now, and EG really can't defend towers at this stage. They don't have a blink on you. Oh, MSS, is he going to get his revenge for last game? Amp damage? Oh, it doesn't have sprint for 2 seconds. He still wants to chase it. There is a Sunstrike ready, I believe. Well, hasn't invoked it, actually. And Universe a bit too healthy now.
Yep, it's sort of the reverse of last game. Both of NP's cores having the start they wanted, getting some of their core items up at a reasonable time, and now Aoi already with the Echo Saber up considerably faster than he had it last game. 1k gold on his way to the blink, so Sumail looks like he is going for the armlet now, but it's only the Gloves of Haste top of the tread, so definitely not the kind of net worth you want to see on an Alchemist, a hero that really needs to be ahead, especially versus the amount of physical damage NP has. A whole lot of physical burst with the Slaughter, the Sven and the Invoker, and whenever they do have those core items up at a reasonable time, you really have to worry as an Alchemist, even with an Omni on your side.
Crit tries to scare Aoi away with the self-repel, but the Rogue Knight is not afraid. He just starts hammering away at the tower, has the God Strength ready. No Alch stacks that he can go easily steal, it looks like, but towers, they ain't going anywhere. Aoi's going to take this one. Last hit to him. Echo Saber up. Already Alacrity online, and there's a crush. Follow-up Sunstrike, Stormbolt's there. Chopping off of his head. NP just being straight down the middle lane, and EG not really home to defend it. If they are home, that might mean they're dead. Amp damage is going to give them plenty of vision of Zai, who's extremely low. Sumail does manage to complete the armlet, and they also get the blink on Axe. They're going to need this first blink reveal to be something special because they are under immense duress already. Sunstrike, Crush, and the Rock. It even hits Universe right when he's about to blink in and potentially go for a call. So they don't find anything. They commit the, well, not even the relocate, excuse me, just the rotation on Zai to come into the middle lane. Still don't have access to the Wisp Bolt at 12 minutes. And now he sticks around. They didn't use God Strength there. He has another Ancient stack with Cardi assisting him in that endeavor. They can potentially just start looking at Roshan. And I don't know if EG can really contest it.
Yeah, they're playing exactly how you like to, and how Alchemists really hate if they lose all their towers early on. As heroes like him, more farming cores, you typically think that killing them would be one of the best things you could do, but NP realizing that getting the map control away is much better, as even if the hero dies a couple of times, he can fall back to the jungle and catch up that way, getting mud golem spawns and stacking up some camps. But the Enchantress, that's why she's known for being very good against Alchemists. You just pressure very early on, you get super early towers, and Alchemist sort of just runs out of places to farm a hero that does not function very well on low items.
Yeah, and they do now back that early aggression up with a Midas, so they can transition here extremely well later on into the game. And of course you do have the Impetus, so perhaps one of the best tools to deal with the Repel later on in the game. Does pure spell immunity, but they do find Envy in the river. Unfortunately, he's the Aegis Bearer, so this could be turned around in a hurry. They don't have the Rock for this fight, but now he gets into them, into the backlines, an aggressive jump forward. Now Arteezy on the run, repelled, and more importantly, the Omni ult committed to get him out safely. So fight's over, folks, at least for now. They lose an IO, but they do manage to crack the Aegis, so EG probably all right with that, and that'll be the end of the fight.
Yeah, getting the Aegis off of E, not really super amazing for either team. Both teams probably just okay with it. It was really risky for NP, as like you said, having the Rock down and also the God Strength down. So definitely a fight that could have gone quite sour for them, but having the Aegis luckily on EE and not on the Sven instead. So
man, their economy is looking so good, though. I mentioned the Midas on the edge. They actually already have one on Warlock as well. So they have triple Midas and a Sven. Like, can EG even take this late? Like, sure, they've got some heroes that scale well, but is there any way they can keep up and farm? Alk is down 2.5k already to a Sven, and that is not going to abate anytime soon.
Yeah, the having the Sven on top of the Slaughter, with Aoi having the Blink Dagger up as well, the initiation is just very, very strong. But Universe having this Blink Dagger, these fights actually can go EG's way if they get the jump in these fights. They need to
as you say that, Caster's Curse has struck you too. It gets scanned. And they are going to potentially look for a turnaround here. Aoi jumping right in. He immediately lops off Zai's head. The Golem comes through and all hell breaks loose. EG on the run. Well, you talk about getting the jump. That is not the kind of jump that EG had in mind. Oh no, Sumail won't make it out either. NP just decisively turning this game from a bit of a, well, not even a bit, from a substantial advantage into a straight up blowout. 13-2 now. This is getting out of hand.
Yeah, NP with the super fast TP bottom after getting that kill. Normally you'd expect them to go for that tower, but
Oh, Artor has no
realizing our
TP
TC is
here.
gonna go another wave.
Crit already went down elsewhere while this was happening, and then a Sunstrike. That's 4 dead around the map. They even found the Omni in the river. NP. GG.
Wow.
You know, Arteezy called it, man. Arteezy knew. He said GG, go next when the game began, and I think he was trolling a little bit, but maybe he didn't like the draft. NP though, they certainly loved it.
Wow. NP hammered back just as hard as EG won that first game.
What
a
that was
draft.
dominant. So where did it go wrong? I mean, there's some bad things that happen in the laning stage, right? The courier gets sniped, and shuts down the axe. They get great wards in the jungle. Slardar got a lot more out of the offlane. They had that rotation where they backstab mid, and then they got the double kill. Was it just too many mistakes from EG, or do you feel like it's more of a drafting issue here?
I think the game was a lot on the draft. EG's lineup with that last pick, Alchemist, just really greedy and took quite a while to get online. They needed, some items, need to farm for 10-15 minutes, having the supports defend heroes, defend lanes, towers, etc. So they have room to get those items up. But with the last pick Enchantress, I don't think they saw that coming at all. And NP taking some cores that normally are expected to farm up to be reasonably defensive and pretty slow, and turning them into a very fast-paced lineup and really sticking it to EG.
Yeah, if you have to pick an MVP, I mean, everyone played well, but I think you look at the tempo of this game, and SVG, he took over from the lanes, and he just never let up. So with that, EG, they dropped game 2. Apparently, being top dog at NA isn't quite as easy as their fans might have thought, and we do get a juicy game number 3. Winner of this does not go to LAN, though. They still have to win the grand finals, which will be our second and final match tomorrow. Complexity currently waiting in the lower bracket to find out who they'll be facing. I'm LD. He's CCNC. You can follow him on Twitter at CCNC Dota 2. And with that, we'll take a quick break here. You're watching Dota Pit, brought to you by Beyond the Summit. We'll be back for Game 3.
Gaming Bets, online betting for every esports fan. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2? Make a prediction for picks and bans. Playing CSGO? Guess the number of rounds in a certain match. Daily quests for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
By the way, I thought you guys would appreciate this moment brought to you by Baby Rage. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to our deciding Game 3 here in Winter Bracket Finals action for the Dota Pit Season 5 American Qualifiers. Winner of this game will get to sit back tomorrow, relax, and await the winner of whoever loses this game and Complexity down the lower bracket. So they'll have a shorter day and an easier path to the finals. So a decent amount at stake here, but certainly no guarantees that you win this one and go to the LAN. EG, they took game 1. They did so pretty convincingly, and then I would say NP came back and were even more convincing in game number 2. I'm LD. I'm joined here by CCNC, and man, CCNC, am I tripping, or did we just discover a time machine? Because we keep on going back to almost the exact same draft, game after game. Some slight deviations, though, as the Drow does get banned out here in the first phase. EG will still go straight towards the IO axe, and God, these teams are just stubborn. Like, it's okay to change your draft, guys, but they really don't want to, and clearly they both believe in what they're doing.
Yeah, NP, I think it's very reasonable for them to go back for the Invoker Sven the second game. Whenever you have a strategy like that, sort of one of your core strategies, NP have done the Sven Invoker thing quite a bit, and if somebody beats you, your best strategy, if it's all about the strategy, then you sort of have a problem because they beat what your best is. That's what Wings try to do quite a bit. TI, they'd give you your best heroes and they just beat them, and then you don't really know what to do with that. But NP realizing, hey, it's just execution, and coming back and taking it 2 more games, and EG taking the same heroes as well as the second game. So they this third game gonna come down a lot to execution as they definitely understand these heroes because they've played them quite a few officials in a row.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see who ends up taking this one, and then honestly, I feel like either of these teams is pretty heavily favored against Complexity. Not to say it's a guarantee, but if they keep on playing the way they are, and so we might just get the rematch tomorrow anyway. I'm sure. EG, though, working on the 4th ban here, and it will be NP's pick. So last time they grabbed Warlock, and I mean, like, if there's... Oh, they're going to ban that. So NP will be forced to deviate at least a little bit in their own right. what's coming next? Are there any like pocket picks or other strats up either of these teams' sleeves that you've seen, Quinn? Something that you think would be more effective that you'd like them to run?
I'm not really sure. They typically do the same stuff they've done the past couple of games whenever they do this Invoker Sven opening. So I expect them to take reasonably similar heroes. The Warlock band this time. So they take the Undying, a hero that sort of runs some similar roles. Strong laner. They may go back to what they did in that first game, another aggressive tri lane. Try and punish EG's safe lane as Undying. Not a great hero in the safe lane. It's a hero that likes to get aggressive early on and use the early power of Decay and Soul Earth being super strong laning spells. So we'll have to see if they go for the Slardar 4th pick and do the same thing or what. Curious.
Yeah, so EG went Omni OD last game. I highly doubt we see that again, especially with this Undying pick already grabbed. They will get the OD. I'm still not sure if they commit to the Omni as well here. I mean, NP just dismantled it, and the Enchantress is still available. So that would certainly be bold. I mean, hell, I love that narrative, right, of these like two stubborn captains who just keep on banging their heads against each other and refusing to call it quits as far as their style of play. But it definitely seemed like the Omni struggled to match up well against that.
Yeah, the Omni and Wisp, probably not a great dual support duo versus Omni or versus the Undying, and maybe Sven aggressive tri lane. So they may be looking for a stronger laner here, a hero that can. I would think they'd put this OD mid this time. OD hero that is very punishable in the safe lane if you have strong laners like they did before. Heroes that rotate a lot. So probably looking for maybe a carry that can deal with this pressure like they did before the Drow, having a nice tri-lane and not dying any to it, but a little different this time.
A little nix to brighten up your day. Great against OD. A bit annoying for the IO who likes to hide in the trees and, oftentimes is kind of playing back because he's great at scouting her out. Combos really well to set up the Sunstrikes. And could even discourage an Omni Knight pick given his very low mana pool. Not that I necessarily think EG want to run that here again. So they don't go Slardar. Do you is that basically it? Do you just want to change it up for the sake of it, or why not go back to the Slardar when it worked so well last game?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Maybe they thought they didn't have enough answers for the OD last game if he did get to a good start, so probably not going to go for this Enchantress for this last pick, and EG maybe even going to ban it out, so looking for maybe more answers for the OD, but overall I'm not really sure why they didn't go for the Slaughter again. EG still haven't taken their second support, so the Slaughter really, really good versus the Omni, like you talked about last game. You sort of just hit him whenever or hit whoever he repels, so without the Omni Knight in the game, Slaughter a little bit less valuable. And yeah, the next, another hero that's really good at setting up Sunstrike ganks, can do it more on his own, whereas the Slaughter typically needs a pair and the Sunstrike. So yeah, some small things, but overall, yeah, maybe MSS just wanted to play a different hero.
Yeah, it's like I'm getting sick of being a fishman, guys. Please, just stop. All right, there's the change up. It's not going to be Omni. It'll be an Oracle. And I mean, it's still a pretty squishy, vulnerable target for the Nyx if he's not real careful with his positioning. But whenever I see Oracle, CCNC, what are the Oracle partners nowadays that come to mind for you? It used to be the Huskar was like the go-to one, but we don't really see much Huskar now.
Yeah, the people have realized that, hey, if that hero doesn't get, a 6-minute armlet, oh wow, alright, well, they do respect ban it.
I feel like they're okay against Huskar. Like, they have a lot of pure damage from the Invoker. The Sven has heavy physical damage, but they don't want to get snowballed, I guess.
Yeah, it is a little bit risky. If you make one mistake in that tri-lane, Huskar gets a couple of kills and gets to his armlet, then you have some serious problems, because Sven, not a hero that, if he has a bad laning stage, can just resort to the jungle and farm up really quickly. Needs a decent start in the lane, just like Huskar, so makes it to where you can only make very, very few mistakes, and if you do make some costly mistakes in the early laning stage, they can just run over you.
So ban number 5.
Yeah, as far as other Oracle pairs, the OD is a very good one.
EG's
Um,
turn to pick.
especially versus Nyx, Sven, a lot of single target stuns. Although Sven, the Stormhammer not, and the Nyx stun not like completely single target. They have some AOE to them, but typically only hitting one hero. Nice with the OD to purge those off. They go for the
Radiant
Lifestealer.
team pick.
Well, decent answer to the Nyx as far as the Carapace and the Impale goes in the laning stage. They have an okay vehicle in the Axe. I would say not the best, but solid. And it's someone who can give the OD a lot of space and very active early.
10
So
seconds remaining.
EG tried the Alk. They tried to play him like a Lifestealer in terms of getting involved early and being, an aggressive carry, but he didn't have the best farm, and then he just never came online in that
Reserve
department.
time.
Yeah, the Lifestealer here that's sort of been rising back to popularity, not been too picked in these past couple of months, but some of the Chinese teams realizing that, hey, this hero is still very strong, gives you a whole lot of pick off, and if you ever do get the jump, any hero almost just instantly dies, especially if you have that Slardar, but EG having the Axe once again in this game, so not that stereotypical Slardar Lifestealer pairing, but still very, very strong, a good initiation tool, and Lifestealer just a hero that, oh, wow.
All right. Here we go. Lifestealer versus Ench. Normally, Lifestealer likes that matchup, CCNC.
Yeah, the rage obviously making it to where you don't attack very slow. It can go both ways as the game goes later on. If the Enchantress gets some items up, you can sort of just pummel the Lifestealer with impetuses. A lot of it depends on who has the advantage and if the Enchantress has a good enough start to get some core items up in the mid game. But NP confident in the early game strat again.
Who do you favor? Both teams changed up a little bit. NP with Undying and Nyx instead of Warlock and Slardar. EG with probably the bigger change, going Oracle
10
Lifestealer
seconds remaining.
instead of Omni and Alk. Who's got the edge
5
here?
seconds remaining.
I think having the Undying instead of the Warlock is definitely not what they want to have. Warlock, just overall, typically known as a stronger hero than Undying. And the Lifestealer, a nice change up from the OD, having him in the safe lane. um, I like putting the OD mid again, not hero that's he's been tried in the safe lane, but whenever he is punished, he's typically very easy to just sort of destroy in the mid game. He doesn't have a good start, but I think the drafts this game are pretty even. And it's going to come a lot down to execution this game.
Oh boy. The gloves are coming off. Arteezy lays down the law. We don't even need admins when we've got him in the room.
Try some FYM.
Takes the edge off. I mean, I feel like he's probably just messing around, but it sounded like he could be a little salty too. It's always hard to tell when people are typing. I mean, I'm definitely one of those guys who hates no matter what. Whenever the game's paused, I immediately get annoyed. So, I can relate a bit if that is his mentality. I just want to play like a fluid game, no pauses, no lag, no bathroom breaks, no pizza. Let's have some good quality Dota. I'm with you, Artur.
Yep. I think there were a couple of short pauses at the beginning of both the other games. That guy likes Cholula better. All right.
Yeah, that Sumail guy. He's weird.
You're trying to fight him.
I don't know how we have you. I mean, I can't tell with it being in your name at all.
I don't think Howie's actually tried it.
That's the best. They're all so bad at promoting it too. Like when they tweet about it, they don't even link the Twitter accounts. It's like I think half the people following them don't even know what it is. And Zai
You're coming with the Xfinity sellout.
yeah, solid stuff from Zai. Now there's a brand that I would never believe in, to be honest. I had Comcast internet, man. I'm never going back. Someday I'll get Google Fiber, but until then, at least I have Fios. See, MSS getting off the stun here on Sumail. And they are going to duke it out a bit in the river. The Oracle nuke comes through, and it looks like MSS is your first blood. Arteezy happily chews him up. And he collects that gold. The bounty runes both grabbed by NP, so not quite worth it, but it could be worse.
Yeah, they're actually mixing things up a little bit. The Wisp playing down here with Axe in the bottom lane, so gonna try and pressure Aui's lane like they did in the first game, winning that tri lane. second game, leaving him uncontested. In this game, again, it's a double melee lane versus a Wisp Axe, so it should go quite favorably for EG. And Universe not getting the blink timing he needed in that last game, but Arteezy getting the first blood and the Axe gonna have a good lane, so maybe gonna be on the way to a quick armlet blink and get those ganks going early on.
Well, you said it's a double melee lane versus an IOX, but if 1437 has his way, it's going to be a 2v1 because that IO just got zombie clawed. It's okay for now. It's going to start eating tangos. It does seem like the Axe is going to farm for free here. Threatens with the call a little bit. MSS in the off lane. Does go for that early stun on Arteezy. Man's up. Gets active, but Crit will zone him back, unleashing the nukes. And then that does leave the mid lane. The Sumail OD up against the Envy Invoker. This time no Drow for Sumail, but has a hero that still does decently in these 1v1s. So overall, you mentioned the Axe will do a lot better. Do you favor EG straight up, or do you think the other lanes make up for that bottom lane?
I think a lot of it comes down to SVG's rotations. It looks like they did realize that he was around there, so backing up, making sure they don't give up kills, as he did have the Centaur and the tomato or whatever, the Hellbear Smasher. So getting out of dodge before the gank comes in, and now spotting out this one with that ward. So knowing where SVG is moving around, and if they could sort of dodge his ganks and avoid the pressure, get to the point where they get some core items up, get levels on these supports, I think EG will be in good shape. But it all comes down to that. I think SVG, a lot of the weight of this game on his shoulders, sort of the only hero that's very good at rotating in this game.
DD Rune will be grabbed by SVG, and he immediately forces Zai back with the tether. Ancients are going to run out to investigate what's going on there, but elsewhere it looks like MSS is being pursued a bit. Arteezy, he stopped off for the completed Poor Man Shield. He's got the Uve, and now he starts to get the move speed here. Grabbing the boots, probably the phase boots coming next. MSS does have the Carapace, and he gets snared by the Oracle, immediately TPs out, and should be able to make it home. But it is to home that he goes, so an empty lane now for Arteezy. And Universe still doing pretty well here at the pull.
Yeah, finally zoning the Nyx out of the lane, so doesn't have an Iron Talon, but still has quite a bit of regen left, and the Poor Man Shields are probably going to run back up the top and continue to just be a pain. Oracle, after those base damage nerfs, something that other nerfs he's received, not really a great solo lane or solo zoning support. So SVG headed up here as well, and with MSS coming back with full HP, EG may actually have some problems. Arteezy only 2 tangos left, and Crit with no items, so if they do get harassed down here by this Enchantress, they may have some HP issues.
Now they are going to make a move. Sunstrike coming in, and Envy gets the ball rolling with the help of his bottom lane. And something NP have been pretty consistently good about is finding these Sunstrike kills. Like even in game 1, when the rest of the team was struggling, they at least were getting those. So it's another game where he's off to a decent start here as far as that goes. And man, he needed it because he is getting crushed in the CS department right now, Quinn.
Yeah, Sumail showing once again the dominant laner he is. After the 6 damage nerfs to OD this lane, I think even maybe slightly Invoker favored after the first few levels. Once you get the high levels in Quas, you know, up to 2-3 points in it, it becomes the astral spam doesn't really hurt you that much anymore, and you can just sort of chill in CS. But Sumail showing he's still the king of laning, and like you said, coming out quite a bit on top in this lane.
Yeah, already up 7 CS, 10 denies. The kill does make up for it for now, but more or less. But SVG moving on to mid. Zai there to help Sumail out and keep the pressure on Envy. This is going to force the Enchantress to react a little bit. Assist in whatever way he can. While meanwhile, top lane Arteezy doesn't really need much help anymore. He can just freely wail away on that Nyx. Speaking of offlaners, off to the jungle. Universe has gone. So he does get the Iron Talon, and he's going to try to be safe since he can't really dominate the lane at this point.
Yeah, actually got a lucky illusion rune, so able to farm that jungle camp and still get these lane creeps. The counter helix does work on illusions. Pretty insane interaction. I'm surprised with the nerf to return and how that doesn't work on illusions anymore. That counter helix still does, but Ice Frog must like Axe a lot, I guess.
You doubt our hallowed Lord and Savior, Ice Frog himself? How dare you, Quinn? How dare you? I mean, Dota's always had those inconsistencies, right? Like, if Dota's ever consistent, if Dota's ever actually a consistent game, well, it won't be our beloved Dota anymore. It'll be something much more horrible and sinister. It just kind of comes with the territory, and I mean, I will say Valve has tried to simplify and add some consistency to things compared to like the old school Warcraft 3 days where there's so many legacy mechanics from just pure limitations of the engine and the fact that it was a custom map, not a standalone game. But I appreciate a little character. You know, it makes you feel rewarded as a player to like uncover those hidden mysteries. But yeah, Dota, not consistent. You can have one. You can have Dota or you can have consistency, but you cannot have both.
Yeah, very true. Even though some of the most recent changes, people complaining about my skill cap, but yeah, just making things.
I'm not worried about Dota's skill cap. You can make those changes, and I'm pretty sure you're not suddenly going to see 4K players shooting to the top of the leaderboards. But you know, maybe I'm wrong about that.
Radiant's top tower is under
I will
attack.
see.
Doesn't mean that someone won't rage on Twitter, though. That's for sure. So Nyx
Yeah, indeed.
does hit 6, and MSS is going to have a jaunt here, but you know, with the lane ward, or basically a lane ward, it's going to be tough for him to find anything. I think EG are well aware of this rotation. You already see Crit making his way back home, buys the sentries, so they are relatively prepared to play against the Nyx.
Radiant's
Yeah,
top
that
tower
hero
is under
has
attack.
sort of seen a rise back into popularity recently. So people have, dying to this first initial Nyx gank. So it's been talked a lot about in the past, but whenever heroes come in and out of favor, sort of like the bounty hunter effect, people are very bad at dealing with it at first. They, died a lot of the ganks, sort of like with the bounty hunter, get their courier sniped quite a bit, but as the hero stays in popularity for longer and longer, it starts to become worse and worse. People don't die to those ganks as much. They start to understand the Nyx's rotations better.
Well, speaking of dying to gank, someone's going to potentially die to this one. Sunstrike comes in, but it is split pretty well. EG were a little late to the party, so the Ancients do get cleaned up. I believe every single one going to that Sven with the Tombstone there to tank it. And now MSS moves in, but there's a sentry. They might see him coming. I think they just got vision of him. Crit's in a lot of trouble, though. MSS going to focus him down, gets the Vendetta, and just needs this Impale, and he nails it. Juked left then right and ended up just going straight. So an easy grab there for Arif. Now the move onto Zai with the cold snap. The Hadouken, a quick pop. It's another takedown, and the Ancients all to NP. It's been a slower start, but it's quickly going back in their favor as the lanes move along.
Yeah, they try to contest those Ancients, but whenever you do them so early on, you have the Tombstone to help as well, and EG without a deep ward to realize when they're doing it, just had to base whenever they moved on NP's map movements, and a very, very hard thing to do contesting Ancients versus Sven, because he kills them in, 10 seconds, so it's a very small window you have to contest it, and just being a little bit off, picking up that Ancient stack and again start stacking it up back again, so I'm gonna try and contest that second one as well, see if that's more successful.
Teasy letting out a little rage here on MSS, but just gonna TP away. Sumail still happily farming mid, and to make up for the kill advantage that NP have, as well as the Ancients, EG still continue to dominate the lane farm, aside from that Sven. So overall, leading on the CS charts by quite a bit here. They are gonna see Owie. Universe, though, no blink yet. Has shown a propensity to rush it as, they find the OD mid. Cold snap into a Sunstrike. MSS there from behind with the Vendetta Impale. And they don't have a sentry on the lane. It's only that one to the north, Quinn. So he really isn't getting a whole lot of help to protect against those Nyx ganks.
Yeah, Sumail at Astral to creep in the lane was backing up after pushing it out right before the Astral exploded, but MSS walking in range at the Astral, popping the Carapace. That changed to where you can Carapace inside the Vendetta and stunning him, getting the Vendetta hit. Then the stun of the Sunstrike just blew him up without a chance to do anything and had the Astral down, so not able to turn Astral and walk away. Really just, once again, perfect timing for NP. That's what a lot of these games have come down to, just finding these very small windows, taking advantage of small mistakes. Whenever you have players that understand the game at this high of a level, everything you do have to be so quick and coordinated or it just doesn't work.
MSS having a really good game here in the offlane. So they gave him a fresh hero, and it kept his play at top condition. NP now grouping through the jungle. They are going to look for a smoke here. No dire vision, but that mid tower is getting hit, and it's not defended. Envy was part of this smoke. This is a weird way to go for one. Even Owie was scouting that bottom lane. And EG just busy cleaning up stacks, up to 2,100 gold on Universe, so the blink is about to come out. They show Owie bottom, but I mean, really this feels pretty obvious. because they didn't have anyone defending mid, and now just the Forge Spirit showing there, but already the tower took a lot of damage. EG seemed to know it too. They're going to back Zai way out. They might lose crit here potentially, but if it's only an Oracle, not the biggest steal in the world, and it seems like he was ready for it, in a great position to break a smoke and just back away.
Yeah, EG will clean up this tower down here, so cutting off the axe from farming up any more stacks, but it already killed that double or triple stack. I'm not sure which one it was, so has his blink now, so NP a little bit too late with his rotation, wanted to cut off that area by the Ancients and control that, maybe farm it up with the Sven.
Uh-oh. Envy finding the kill mid. It was a Nick skank, and he's not even there, but the blood spatter marks another Sunstrike kill. He's off pushing the bottom lane safely, so MSS again delivering, and I just can't believe they don't have a Sentry Ward mid at this point, honestly. Now the blink call, moving on to Owie, dragging him back. Universe there, good initiation. Is the follow-up going to come through? Arteezy gets to work with the open wounds. Owie, he doesn't have the God Strength any longer. That's the dunk, and it might be the first of multiple as they turn to kill up that Tombstone. Universe now will have access to the blink, the call as well on to Envy. Backup is lacking. It's just a simple decay. It's not good enough. And they will find the kill, but Envy, while that was happening, did Sunstrike the IO, so makes it a 1-for-1 there. Still a big win, a 2-for-1 overall, and 2 cores going down just for the IO. So the Blink debut, extremely effective, and does mitigate a lot of the damage done in the middle lane to Sumail. Poor guy, he is at the bottom of the cores in net worth after that really dominant start mid.
Yeah, those couple of ganks to Sunstrikes, Odie a hero that really hates dying early on, and is not a very good hero from behind, as we talked about in the other games. A hero that has a hard time running in if he doesn't have other cores to go in with him, but thankfully this game, the Lifestealer and the Axe both doing really well, so that's not going to be a problem.
Universe, he unfortunately had his smoke broke on the low ground, or broken I should say, and didn't have anyone else there to give him the vision, no ward up the hill. They just continue to try and contest the Ancients, and with the Enchantress pick, it's been a little bit less one-sided than game 1. Quick Astral there on the Wildkin. But
yeah,
they haven't really been able to slow the Sven down the way they were able to in that first game.
Yeah, while Zai was dead, he pinged the Ancients, but Arteezy in that chase down bottom where they got those couple of kills had used the Infest for the burst damage, so was on cooldown. They wanted to do an Infest gank to these Ancients, maybe catch the Sven while he was farming them, but the Infest just coming off of cooldown now in 10 seconds, so not able to do that. EG's just sort of sitting around here, and neither team really farming. Both teams are starting to contest this, but Aoi realizing, hey, I'm gonna get something while y'all stalemate there by the Ancients. Goes to push up top lane.
He's just a Sven player, man. He just wants to hit creeps and stacks. That's what it's all about for him. EG, it's towers they want. Armlet has been up on Arteezy, and also Force Staff picked up on Sumail. Raging now to whack that tower down, but his rage wears off. NP still hanging around. It's going to be MSS running forward. This time they do have a sentry, but it's actually one off to the right and one in mid, so they are thoroughly protected this time. But the tower gets denied by SVG. Was that the Centaur? I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah, because this hero is pretty far away, so it denies the tower, I believe, with a Centaur, which almost died. A noble sacrifice, though, so even then, EG being thwarted. That is not easy, man, against an Armlet Lifestealer, and even just decent base stats on the OD. And as that tower falls, EG straight onto the Ancients, but there is going to be a contest here. Sunstrike coming in, will hit Arteezy. He's still fairly healthy. MSS straight into the fray, a 2-hero stun, and now they rush forward. 1437 going for the decay, a decent one. Stormbolt there, but a defensive banish activated. Awie's the Echo Saber, ready to unload. Our Universe gets preemptively kept alive by the false promise, but that means Arteezy has no heal, has no help, and perhaps it's worth it though with the blink, the call, the double dunk, and looking to make it a triple. Universe brings it down. 3 heroes have fallen. 1437 up to the high ground. He too will melt. Oh, that false promise paying dividends now. It's a team wipe, I believe, for EG after the banish. It will be. Plop goes the Bambi and the Ancients also to EG. And that is going to basically plunge this graph off a cliff. A Niagara Falls level of deficit now starting to form against NP.
Yeah, Crit with a nice play. Before they went in to take those Ancient stacks, actually started a couple of heals on the Axe, so going in and tanking those Ancients. But with the overcharge and those combined heals that Oracle put on them before the fight started, was able to heal back up reasonably to full, sort of stood in the front lines there, and tanked a lot of the damage. Arteezy the only casualty, and almost was mid-infest animation. The icon was lit up, but couldn't quite get into Sumail before was killed, so almost could have been even better for EG, but thankfully for NP, they at least got the kill on the Lifestealer, but definitely a very favorable fight for NP. For
Crit! Go splat. MSS getting right back into it, and meanwhile mid lane there's a relocate. They're going to move on to 1437, doesn't even get the tombstone out, though to be fair, it would have died almost instantly. No blink on Aoi yet, so he's unable to really react to that rotation. And NP, as quickly as they get a kill, they give one up. They're going to smoke, but they're running right into EG. Their smoke not yet broken, and now it's daytime. They have an Observer Ward around the Roshan pit. Universe is there, though. He gets that initial Battle Hunger off on MSS. And the Carapace comes out, but Sumail just confidently force-staffing his way forward. Has the Hurricane Pike ready to be delivered. 2-hero Impale. Again, decent work by MSS, but he's going to be going down here. Has no TP. Blink call. Chop off with your head. Easy peasy. He'll secure the kill, and more importantly, they're going right into the tower after that.
Yeah, EG starting to get some more tanky items. The Axe with the Blade Mail now, the OD with the Dragon Lance up to 1500 HP, and Sven really the only farmed core in NP right now. MSS had some nice early rotations, but 4 deaths, and since those couple of early Sunstrike kills on Sumail mid, really hasn't been getting the kind of net worth that you need on Nyx Assassin as the game goes later in the game. Only 3k net worth right now, and EE falling behind as well, dying a couple of times, so Sven in a game like this where there are quite a few saves, the Oracle, the IO, the OD that can save people whenever the Sven jumps in, will be kited quite easily if he doesn't have at least a team to back him up. Not really a game where a Sven can do a lot on his own.
Well, that's the Aegis going to Sumail. Arteezy gonna let him have it. Oh, or if not let him, we'll end up letting him have it. But they will move now to defend this mid tower. It's almost in deny range, not quite. NP did scout that with the Sunstrike, but Envy, I think just the team making the call, there's no way we can contest Roshan at this stage. We don't have to spend Blink yet. Our Nyx, as you pointed out, Quinn, is a bit underfarmed, and Invoker's still not really hitting that big surge in power when he gets, whether it's the Aghanim's or the BO3's Blink, that next big item or two that really lets him take over in team fights. So they will let that tower go. They will get the BO3's, and they may just have to play the split push game here, but that is dangerous against Denayo.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the big cores and just a lot of the strong heroes in general this patch. Very, very strong whenever they're ahead, but when behind, notorious for being just not having that high of an impact. We need to get up to some of those core items, Sven, Invoker, Lifestealer, OD, all those cores sort of fall into that role, but EG having the lead right now, so enabling all of their cores that need that good start, whereas NP, Invoker not really a hero you can be behind on and excel. Hero that needs quite a few items, need to be able to play aggressively to get all those spells off. And without that, hero that really has problems staying alive in these fights, very squishy and no mobility items yet.
Hello, it's me, your friend Sumail. Perhaps not the kind of friend SVG wanted. 4 heroes moving in. He just kind of waltzes away. He didn't even use the drum charge there. EG will finally collect that kill. A bit of a awkward initiation, but they make it work out in the end. And while Sven Blink is up, NP still doesn't look like they're in any real position to fight. Like, at what point do you see them fighting? How much do they need? Are there certain items, levels they're waiting on? I mean, it looks like EG might just be coming to knock on the front door real soon as they push in this top lane.
Yeah, as of now, NP really doesn't have a way they can take these fights. They have too many saves on EG. There's no real way they can jump in and burst heroes with the Sunstrike, Sven, Nyx, those stuns into the Sunstrike. Not really a way they can do it. And the Aegis as well on the OD, so not even able to burst the defensive heroes. The Oracle and Wisp staying very far back, so not giving that opportunity either. And they really just need, the BKB on the Sven so we can't get Astraled, and maybe can jump one of the backline supports, can't get Fate's Edicted by the Oracle. They really just need more items. It's not even a specific item. They just need this game to last longer. But it's very, very hard to get a lot of items to get the lanes out whenever, like you said, there is a Wisp. There's an Axe that can always be setting up kills.
MSS. Was it worth it? He gets the Courier. But I don't think he's getting out here. He does have a Vendetta Universe, though. Oh, Sentry gets dropped. MSS, which way does he go? Oh, they've cornered him. They completely isolate him between 2 sentries, basically a Venn diagram of death. And EG will shut the Nyx down. I mean, he's making a bit of space for the team, but He is really struggling in his own right. 1-5-3 now. I felt like he was having a better game, but he's just been racking up the deaths as of late.
Yeah, it was the way his laning stage went was more of an old school offlaner sort of style where he was going to the offlane over and over again, putting a lot of pressure and slowing down Arteezy's farm a little bit, but didn't really get the arcane woods at a reasonable time, so not able to shove lanes as well with the stun and farm up any items really. So was playing a lot of the space creator, but got a couple of those early kills. But losing that sack, losing that huge 5-0 fight, really put the Nyx behind whenever you commit to being the space creator and put all of your eggs into the fighting basket.
Well, it is still a relatively minor deficit, all things considered, as the teams are even on towers here. EG only up about 2,500 gold, 5,000 experience, which is a moderate advantage. But they're not completely snowballing out of control here, Quinn. Is there any kind of urgency for them? Do they need to be looking towards high ground relatively soon, or are they okay trading farm and going late, do you think?
Yeah, they have quite a bit of map control at this point. Aoi and EE still pushing nicely in this top line, maybe even gonna get this tower with the Forge Spirits, but as this game goes later, OD, one of the better cores going late game against the Sven, because once the Sven's BKB starts wearing down, you just Hurricane Pike him away and beat him to death with the Arcane Orbs. So, yeah, I think EG is fine going late game. They have an initiation source in the form of the Axe, so it's not like they're committed to death balling with no real way to take fights in the late game. So, especially with this map control, should be able to out-farm getting those tier 2s down now, but it looks like they want to push the advantage.
Oh, Aoi, this is a big one. They can relocate in as well, and they don't even need to. Blade Mail, Rage with the Deso, and no Warcry being active there as he was called. An easy kill. And Aoi out of the game for 50 seconds. So Aegis will be reclaimed. It's going to be a long Roshan respawn timer, which I guess probably NP is happy about, given that they don't seem to be in much of a position to fight. But meanwhile, Envy quietly is farming up, though. 3,400 gold. So if he wants that Ags right away, he's on a relatively quick pace for it.
Yeah, they're definitely farming up at a pretty decent rate. Lifestealer, not a hero known for farming very, very quickly, but is picking up some of those axe kills, and he's met with the Blink Dagger now as well, so things are going to start getting very hard for MP to execute well, as they have the axe to set up for relocate ganks, the Blink Astral now as well, so they're going to have to just play Bring Around the Rosie and dodge fights for quite a while until they can get, like you said, the Ags onto the Invoker. Aoi only the recipe away from the BKB now and has 375 gold, so just 1,000 gold away. We'll have that pretty soon, so maybe getting to the point where they can actually take a fight. And with all the split pushing the Sven and the Invoker have done, I've kept the gold lead pretty minimal, like we talked about.
Yeah, Aoi almost has a BKB now. I mean, granted that is not a complete solution here, as he still has the Blink Call and the Blade Mail to worry about, but it will definitely help a lot. You still can deal with the Oracle, disarm pretty effectively, the Banish can only be used defensively, and Lifestealer not going to be able to get those free hits in without having to worry about the Sven hammering right back, but it doesn't really feel like a BKB that just straight up wins you fights or the game, because EG are smoked, they scan their own jungle, they don't find anything, but they continue moving forward. SVG pushing out this top lane, the Centaur galloping ahead as a forward scout, the Forward Spirit's bringing up the rear, and they will go deeper. It looks like they found 1437, isolating him. He was dewarding, he drops a gem, and now he comes in, he wants to quickly deal with Zai, who wanted to maybe scoop it up. Not gonna happen, but he pays with his own life. The BKB not done just yet, and now MSS is gonna be next on the list. That's 3, they're looking for a 4th. They likely find him too. SVG, no way out, surrounded and pounded. He will go down. Universe rims that one out, but he doesn't need to dunk when a simple alley-oop will do. We'll see the Aghanim Scepter complete for Envy, the lone survivor of that slaughter in the top lane. So double gem now for EG. They did end up ultimately recovering the one that I believe it was 1437 had.
Yeah, losing that fight pretty huge. You can feel NP sort of having the panic set in, realizing that even if they do get some of their core items, the Ags, the BKB, like you said, the Axe Call still always there to counter them, and this Lifestealer Bomb always going to be threatening pickoffs as well as the relocate ganks. So trying to take a fight, but not realizing everybody was there. Universe coming in from the side, getting the call on Aoi, and a really favorable fight for EG and getting some chip damage on this tower, as Grant would say, unhealable damage. So
Oh, Grant. What a genius he is. Where would Dota 2 be without him, really?
a sad place.
But with Grant, it's a happy place. You know, as much as like he used to be known as being like a huge flamer and, you know, maybe not negative Nancy, but just very like a very aggressive guy, at least with his internet persona, he's actually like a super happy and fun guy. At least at every event I've been to with him, always smiling, you know, very relaxed. He's not the Grand Grant you think you know, guys, but I still enjoy that side of his persona. He's mellowed with age. I mean, not often you say that about a guy who's, you know, early 20s, but he really has. Blink call, though, top lane. God, that BKB still not ready. Owie gets isolated, and Owie John's going to go down again. Oh, that really hurts, Quinn. That's twice now he dies right before getting the BKB. Dead for 50, no buyback. They're not going to push down the top lane just yet, but they're really controlling the map well. Now turning onto the Undying, they'll banish him as well. And when he comes back, it's into a world of pain. Sumail plus 20 in and rising. Tombstone committed. Oh, they've even got an AC down, but from the rear comes MSS. He might be able to clean these heroes up. Self-banish, trying to buy a little time. The blink call, decent from Universe, does isolate the Invoker. Can they focus him down, though? The orbs come in. There's the initial tornado, and now the chase forward. Trying to keep that Outward Devourer under control. Hurricane Pike is available for an offensive move, but not going to use it. So they get out again. Looks like Eternal Envy lives to fight another day. He does have the Aghanims picked up now, but he's not full Super Saiyan mode just yet. Only level 15.
Yeah, that fight, the Tornado actually from SVG was the MVP of that fight. Kept canceling Sumail's blink right whenever he'd come out of the Astral Imprisonment, as the ticks are very frequent. So have to time it. I have to blink in directly the direction you're facing, and he wanted to blink to the right of the Invoker and hit him from that way. So because he knew the Nyx was top, so tried to avoid the stun. The tornado keeping him from doing that. So only losing 1 or 2 heroes in that exchange instead of losing maybe quite a bit more. Wouldn't have been for that tornado canceling Sumail's blink.
Well, someday Owie will get a BKB. I'm not sure how much of a difference maker it's going to be. As you know, already you're looking at a completed Linken's on Sumail. Got to imagine a Hex is at least a consideration going late here. And he's been getting initiated on a lot, but does finally have it. So the potential is there, as we see an unconventional Shadow Blade being picked up by Universe. But you know, it does make sense given that they want to be able to initiate with the Infest Bombs, given that they stole the Radiant Gem from earlier, so there is no reliable detection. And he can scout the Nyx with this, so he can just run around Invis, isolate him, and pick him off. I quite like this from Universe.
Yeah, it's also a very good item for taking people by surprise, getting one quick pick off, and winning the game off of that. But Owie drawing the exact line that he thought they were going to run, and them countering this out, and they actually would take a fight.
Uh-oh. Oh, did I jinx him? Immediately gets caught by an Echo Saber Angry Sven, and there's the gem. All right, well, Shadowblade not paying off that time, and they even brought in more reinforcements. Sumail caught, stunned by a Centaur, quickly gets to work with the Hurricane Pike, and the relocate back. Little Houdini action from EG brings them back to the bottom lane. They'll immediately push here, but already Nyx coming in with the Rage committed. Oh, a beautiful stun from the Nyx Assassin. MSS going in deep for this. Arteezy's got to be careful. He does not have a Rage, but he does have Aegis. Hammer gets dropped on the rear lines and brings down MSS. Sumail, point getting cancelled here, but he wants to chase this. He finds Eternal Envy, Hurricane Pike. Only 5 seconds to go. Does get slightly slowed down there, but he's ultimately still going to lose his life. Eternal Envy, that's his 3rd death of the game, but his 1st in a long time. His EG, I mean, just when you think, like, all right, NP's going to have a good fight, they just seem to turn bad. It's very reminiscent of game number 1. The only real silver lining here is Owie pushing out that top lane.
Yeah, EG is just so much better at fighting around right now, even with that perfect read of exactly where Universe is going to go by Owie drawing the line. And they all heading up there to turn that gank around, almost working, but just not able to take the wisp down in time. The Glimmer Cape helping him out quite a bit, and just coming back down to bottom. NP trying to take a fight that maybe they weren't able to, and gonna lose 2 sets of racks off of that.
Just like that, the game might be spiraling out of reach for Team NP. They've given EG a good run. Perhaps they lose Sumail here. Oh, nice false promise. The banish, though, preventing him from getting out of range, and the Carapace stun. They actually save him. Zai with the godly IO plays, combining with crit, and crit, well, he's going to pay for that one, but it comes with a turn as they jump straight onto the Sven. Again, not getting off the BKB. It's 10 seconds, just passively sitting in his inventory, doing nothing for him. No buyback. A minute on the sidelines now. The meatball marking where NP once stood. Want some hot sauce for that, NB? We've got it for you, says RTZ. He'll pour all kinds of hot sauce over him. But I think that was a little more than what Envy had in mind, and the spice is going to settle very uncomfortably into his innards. That's the game, EG. They take it 2-1.
Yeah, the game 2 looking like NP actually had some fight in them, was gonna, maybe be able to take this series a strong game 2, but EG coming back in the third game, not giving Aoi the free lane that he had that first time, pressuring EE quite a bit as well, giving Sumail a nice 1v1 matchup, and him really excelling there, and the cores not really having the items they needed to have at the times they needed to have them.